So let's give a few minutes for participants to join.
Yes. So, Ismail.
Yes. I think we can start because it's almost now 63.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sallam. My name is Ismail Muhammad. I'm the program coordinator for Tadamon, NGO's Empowerment for Poverty Reduction Program. I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of ISDB colleagues and also ISFD to this great event, webinar, Tadamon Talks number 15. Tadamon Talks is a vehicle that we use within Tadamon communications strategy, through which we actually collaborate and coordinate with CSOs and also our target audience to explain to them things that are difficult for them to understand or things that has been going on in terms of like thematic areas of the program, them to be trained. So it's an excellent vehicle. I would also like to thank our colleagues from UNDP team who has been a part of this journey, both in the implementation and also technical assistance to the events and also the call for proposal. I'd also like to thank colleagues from FCD, Brother Abdullah Oud, from PFM, Wasim Abdul, and also from procurement, Brother Daha Al-Fil. I'd also like to thank all of those of you, the CSOs that are part and parcel of this journey today. So without further ado, I will give the floor. I will leave the floor for Brother Iyas to walk you through the agenda. Iyas, he will introduce you to himself, and he's the moderator of the event. Brother Iyas, welcome.
Thank you, Ismail. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome, everyone. My name is Iyas Ghrez, and I'm the program officer for the NGO's Empowerment Program. I would like first to make sure that this webinar is being recorded, and we are going to send the record for all of you after the webinar. And you can share the record with your colleague if they did not get the chance to attend this webinar. Also, it will be in English only, as the language of receiving the proposals will be in English. And for people who are asking for translation, this webinar will be in English only. Also, we will work through this webinar to give you an heads up and overview what we are going to talk today. So today we are going to give you an insight into element of successful grant application to Tadamon grant. Also, we will learn more about the selection and evaluation criteria, how you are going to be selected and evaluated. And also we will hear and insight, tips and tricks shared by our expert from procurement team, from disbursement team, from PFM team as well, from the bank. And last but not least, we will have an open space to get questions from you. If you have any technical questions about the presentation that our colleague going to do, or in general about the grant, anything you would like to ask about this grant, we will be here to support you and to raise your awareness. Without taking further notes, I would like to give the floor for our colleague from UNDP, Haidana, to give us a general insight and elements for the grants application and how do you find it on Tadamon and where you can find all of that. So Heidi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ayaz. Thank you everybody for joining. I see a nice number here. Yes, so the main question was how to apply. So just to know, we have our platform website, Tadamon.community. Maybe Ben, you can share website location in the chat. But as you know, I believe you're all familiar with our Tadamon platform website. You can go here, programs, press Tadamon grants. And then you can read all about how to apply, what we are looking for, what is the aim. Also, you can read which country is eligible to apply. You can read the focus area, screening eligibility criteria that my colleagues from ISDB will explain later more in details. So all what we are looking for and how to apply and how you're going to be selected and evaluate, it is here on this page that you can find on our website, Tadamon.community, under programs, Tadamon grants. Be aware that this open call page will be open until the deadline, which is, you can see, January 5th, 2024. Submission for the deadline for submission is until January 5th, 2024. Here, you can't find application form. This is only text and introduction about Tadamon grants, but here is not application form. Also, below you can find a guideline which is more in detail how to apply. But again, this is not application form. Many of you already asked where we can find application form. So for those who are not on Tadamon platform already, you need to sign up. Here, you need to press and you need to fill information about your organization through this process, through these steps. I will not go to the details, but you have 6 steps that you need to submit in order to have Tadamon account. I believe most of you already have, but if you don't have it, please first you need to sign up for Tadamon platform. Once you are there, once you created Tadamon accounts, our team will check your profile and will mark is your profile rejected or pre-approved. If it is rejected, it means that something is missing to your profile, and the reason what is missing and why you rejected, you will get to your email. But if everything is okay with the profile and your organization, our team will put you as a pre-approved. So once you are pre-approved, it is going to be here, mention it on your profile, pre-approved. It means that you can proceed with applying to the Tadamon grant. But how? You see here, you need to have this paragraph that is mentioned, that is open call for Tadamon grant is open for these countries, and that you need to download application form here. The application form is in a Word document. You download it on your laptop or your computer. You need to fill in, very important that you need to fill in English. Then you need to send to the email that is mentioned here, grants.tadamon.community. Just remember, submission should go through the email that is mentioned here. And here on your profile, you will find application form. Application form, it is not on Tadamon website, it is not on social media or everything, it is on your profile, but only if you are pre-approved. So make sure that you fill in your profile very well, that you submit your registration document, that you are registered in one of these 9 countries, so in order to proceed with applications. Please remember once again, but I believe my colleagues will also remind you, we are accepting only application in English by January 5th, 2024. An application you can find on your profile on Tadamon website. I believe this is it from me. Thank you, Yas.
Thank you, Heidi, and thank you for reminding us with the deadline of the receiving the application. I will, during the coordination of this event, I will give you heads up, like, don't forget to apply before 5th of July, 12 p.m. midnight Jeddah time. We will not consider any application after this deadline. And talking more about the application, we will hear from our colleague Ismail about the selection criteria and the evaluation. What is the important and how we can take consideration to that, Ismail. So if you may take the floor, please.
Thank you, yes. Okay. We have an eligibility criteria. First of all, I hope and I would assume that all of you must have gone through, or not all of you, by the way, but quite few amongst you must have gone through the platform and saw the criteria, eligibility criteria, as well as the requirements that we want from you. And I would also like to bring to your attention that this is a competitive grant where we want those amongst you who are the best to, in fact, take this opportunity to implement these projects at the grassroots level across the member countries of ISDB. So the eligibility criteria is that you must have a proven track record in humanitarian development initiatives, your focus around sustainability, inclusiveness, and also community resilience. You should also have the registration in the operating countries. You should also keep in mind that we don't only require registration, but also we require later, at a later stage, that you get clearance from ISDB governance office in your respective member countries. So the ISDB governance office will give you what they call no objection letter. This is also part of the requirement. You should also keep in mind that we have a program along with the CFA. Those of you who are familiar with CFA is the Crowdfunding Academy that after we deliver national map workshops, CSOs go through. But we also have a portal, which is Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Portal. And this is a must-have for someone thinking of that they would apply this grant without this digital badge from Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Hub is delusion. And I would say again, if you don't have that digital badge and you don't acquire the necessary capacity building program scheme that we put in place, then for you to apply this grant is delusional. Also, you must have demonstrable achievements based in ISDB member countries. This is those who are actually in terms of geographical location. This includes Burkina Faso, Comoros, Iraq, Jordan, Niger, Pakistan, Palestine, and also Somalia, Yemen. The minimum requirement in terms of project delivery is 3 years. So this is the second slide where I will walk you through the proposal requirements. What we're looking for are innovative, transformative, scalable approach that address critical education and community resilience challenges. Also a focus area mainly on the most vulnerable people, refugees, IDPs, people with disabilities, orphans, women, youth, and etc. Addressing basic education, such as unemployment, vocational training, skills development, community resilience building, social exclusion, climate and green energy. Obviously, all of these contribute towards poverty alleviation. And also demonstrable good practice in terms of your corporate governance and financial management. It is indeed must have. We also encourage you to have an excellent match funding, which is because this is almost a grant of 120,000. So the generosity that we put into, we also want you to work off your socks, work hard to actually bring a matching fund of at least, if it's 120,000, 60,000, that's the 50% finance ratio. Also, concrete activity plan and detailed budget breakdown, which of course my colleagues will share with you. And finally, this is the digital batch I was talking about. So the capacity building scheme that you have seen as a criteria, this is how you are going to access. And I repeat again, this is how you are going to access. For those of you who want now have a quick journey, they can actually scan the barcode on the screen. First of all, what you do is you actually create an account by accessing and going to kayaconnect.org. You can even have a mobile phone picture now, just to actually later save it on your phone as an image and follow the steps. We will also display this and put on Tadamon community platform. So you go to kayaconnect.org for a sign up and creating an account, and you follow the steps. Once you create that account, then you go to Kaya Connect, Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Hub. And then that would take you to the courses that you want to take, which is, in fact, four pathways. So what we want from you is at least to finish 2 pathways, if not all. And it's not like rocket science. You can finish this within 72 hours, within 3 days, or even sometimes within 2 days, 48 hours. That's it for today. If there is anything, inshallah, we will address it later at the event. I will now leave to Brother Iyas. Iyas, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ismail, for walking us through the criteria. And I will echo you that any organization, if they do not pass all of the criteria, your proposal will not be recognized. And the first criteria, as you can see, Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Hub. And I would like to remind you here, being on Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Hub, it's not only a criteria to apply for the grant, it's an area where you can build the capacity of your staff member in many fields, in 3 languages. So use this chance for your team to build their capacity, the team who are working on the proposal, or even other team within the organization. Being on Tadamon, you will be eligible to get this training. Without taking further, I would like to welcome Engineering Taha Al-Fil. Taha, he is our Field Procurement Officer, to give us a 10-minute presentation about the procurement. And I'm sure you have many questions. So let us listen to Taha, and please, if you have question, keep it until we open the time for questions, and then we will answer all of your questions. So Taha, the floor is yours.
Thank you, brother. Yes, thank you everyone for attending and participation. So without further time, I'm just going to go through very quickly the procurement arrangement and how we are expecting you to address this part. So let's have quick. Can you see my screen first, please? Can you check?
Confirm, it's clear.
Yes, we can,
Clear.
Taha.
Okay, thank you. Yes. So let's have a quick introduction. My name is Tadamon. I'm a Field Procurement Officer in Islamic Development Bank. I'm based in Cairo, taking care of portfolio of the headquarters, the regional hub countries portfolio also as well, and the GCC and Yemen. Luckily I joined the team during the first call for proposal, and I was honored to participate on this great program. So we'll start first with the introduction. What is IDB procurement guidelines, which will be abiding most of these all these procurement process. So we have just two guidelines. We have the first one for goods, works, and related services. It was established, this is the second version, it was established on April 2019 and then revised on March this year. The second guideline is for consultant services. It also had been revised also on March this year. This is the link where you can get the copies or download the guidelines from the website www.isdb.org and go for the procurement project procurement page. So going further for the assessment, how we are expecting to assess the procurement part of procurement activities during the preparation, or let's say during the filtration or selection. So we're expecting to have this main list of information. The first one is related to the procurement function and the CSOs in your entities, whether you have a procurement policy, procurement procedures, if you have dedicated human resources, maybe one person, two persons, however, the logistics you are dedicating for the procurement function, etc. Please don't be reluctant to give us the clear and actual image or the background of this. Please be confident that it's not an issue that you don't have the procurement policy or clear or a full-fledged of procurement function. You may have some procedures, you may have some policies, you may have some main roles, you may rely on the best practice on the market. But please give us this information, because we don't want to, during the evaluation or the screening, we don't want to back and forth with each proposal. This will save time for the selection process. And also will give us an idea about the experience and background. Then go to the second point, which is the past successful experiences. It's very important. With MDBs, maybe you had been financed or participating or received finance from any of the MDBs, which is the multilateral development bank, like World Bank, like Libyan Bank, like IDB before, or any international entities also working on the field. The identification, before leaving this point, I want also to focus that if you have such experience, please just state the name of the project, the starting date of the project, or even starting year of the project, the ending year, and the amount of financing. So then we go for the identification for the procurement packages, which we will go deeper the next slide. But at the end of the day, I think we need to know that you should identify the procurement packages regardless the design of the project component or the breakdown, because we saw before some proposals had been breaking down the cost or the budget to the smallest unit, maybe some let's say some workers, some materials, some equipment. But in procurement perspective, these three subcomponents or three line items are addressing like works or construction or supplying something. So this is very important to know that the procurement packages shouldn't follow or shouldn't be exactly containing the same line items of the budget breakdown. Then finally, the selection method versus the procurement package versus the allocated budget by IDB. So we are focusing for the procurement part. I'm not saying, I'm not talking about the whole proposal, but for the procurement part, we are keen to know which procurement packages, which part IDB is requested to participate, and then all the above information, or at least the identification of the procurement package, should be clearly identified and stated there. So going for the procurement for goods and works, let's give a general idea here. So we have goods. Goods is related to the related to the equipment or the purchasing of equipment, material, etc., which is mainly connected to suppliers. So whenever you define an entity as a supplier, purchasing IT equipment, purchasing materials, purchasing even printing papers, if you are going for this level of detail, you can go or classify it as goods. Of course, each of these three categories you see on the screen is maybe accompanied by related services. So let's go for example, for the goods, maybe you can purchase equipment, some equipments for the project, or for to do the activities, and then you need a training on this equipment. So this is not two separate items. This is not two separate activities. They are just combined together. So the main thing is we are purchasing equipments and we receive training from the supplier how to use this equipment. Going to the second category, which is works. This is the crystal clear component. Like if we are going to construct something, construct a building, a room, a school, or something like this, or even a workshop for doing something. So whenever there is a construction, this should be classified as work. The non-consulting services, which is a broader spectrum here. I see that I saw before on some of the proposals, the past proposals. This is not related to this call. We see that there is some misunderstanding. This is a gray area between non-consulting services and consulting services. So I mean here, I just put it on red, the service providers. Whenever you are going to make use or to hire or to receive something from a service provider, this is classified as non-consulting service. So for example, printing, you may need to carry out a workshop and you need to print some material. So this printing firm or printing place or the entity that will do this printing for the training material, for some stands or something like this, or awareness stands or whatever, they are classified as service provider. Then they go under the classification or under the category of non-consulting services. We can go deeper for renting cars, for renting the halls for an event within the hotel. So in this case, we go for this classification also. So there is no good to be purchased, there is no work to be implemented, then it will be non-consulting services. Until I will, next slide, I will show you what is the difference between consulting and non-consulting services. But here, for these three categories, we already designed the program to make it on the shopping method. The shopping method is very one of the simplest method we are using in procurement, considering the low amount of the packages. So we go for this shopping. The shopping basically is just comparison between three quotations received from three different firms or companies or service providers or contractors, supplier, whatever. And then making a very simple evaluation or comparison between them if they are fulfilling our requirements in terms of the dimensions of the things, in terms of the specification of the equipment. So we will take the lowest price. Going for the second category with the procurement of services. The services here mean that the consulting services is defined as the intellectual services, the services that needs know-how, the services that need the inputs of the person himself. It's not just, he's not printing things, he's not renting the car, he's not driving the car. So this is not intellectual services, it's just service provider. So if you can recall the last the past slide, which is the non-consulting services. So here we also went for the simplest method for receiving these services, which is individual consultants. Maybe you need in your program or in your project to hire a trainer, to hire a researcher, to hire someone to do some activities. On other terms, that okay, so we are not advising you to go for firms unless if it is something has been opposed by law for such as the financing and the financial auditing services. In this case, we will go for the firm, but try to simplify your packages. Try to simplify the recruitment for the services or the procurement for services by using individuals. In case you are relying on, let me say, a capacity building full program, which is 100%, 100% is based on the capacity building or training or something like this, and you find that, okay, my procurement packages will consist of all 100% of individuals in this case, and also the amount may be an respective amount to have it in terms of firm. So there is no other way than going to the firm. But from my past experience, for similar proposals, I think you can do it with individuals. So going to the firm here, some countries, some member countries, based on the regulatory procedures, they should be audited by financial auditing firm. So in this case, it couldn't be individual; it could be a consulting firm. So for the consultant selection methods, we have two main methods. Which the first one is the competition. Also, you should have at least 3 CVs, 3 proposals from 3 individuals. If you don't have a current individual or someone who had already currently doing similar activity or similar assignment. The other method will be single source selection. I need also to focus in or to highlight here the definition for the individual consultant and the in-house staff or the employees of the CSOs, because we faced in some cases that the CSOs are proposing some of their own staff or own employees to act or to be embedded on the breakdown for the cost and requested to be hired as individual consultants. We cannot give a clear specific definitions, but employees is a well-known term that reflects the relation, the contractual relation between the individual or the person with the CSO. So please take care of this part. If you are going to use or if you are going to implement some activities with your own in-house staff, please segregate between whether this person is an employee in accordance to the definition of the laws there, labor laws there in your country, or he is just an external consultant or an individual consultant who had been hired for doing something on one of the projects or to make an assignment in different projects, but he is not part of the organization chart or he is not part of the CSO employees. For the financial auditing firm, there is only one recommended method, which is least cost selection. We have the standard template for terms of reference, standard template for request for proposal to hire these firms or similar firms, and this will be different from a proposal or another. What I want to say also here that you are not requested to apply all these methods. The procurement packages and its definition, as I just say now, I just clarified whether it's goods, work, non-consulting services, or individual consultant or consulting firms. All of this is relying on the design and objective of your proposal or your project. So this should be identified by yourself, by the project team, whether you need individuals, whether you need contractors, whether you need suppliers. Going to the last 2 slides, which are very important, and I think they will elaborate or summarize what I had already presented to you. These are the tables that, inshallah, you will find them on the template. So this is the mode of procurement under the IDB financing. So here we have the first column is the project component that you should identify, and then the procurement package or contract. which you should identify, and the allocated budget in general. So in some cases, you may have a contribution here as a CSO. So maybe the allocated budget is 18K, and then the IDB financing requested like 50% or 70% or more or 100%. So I just give you the ideal case that IDB will cover this component. The component is very clear: senior instructor or a trainer. So this should be identified under either individual consultant or single source selection. You can see here also the stopping for goods, works, non-consulting services, and the consulting services here is identified, or they divide into least cost selection, individual consultants, which is based on the comparison between 3 CVs if you don't have the specificated for single source selection or single source selection. So going to the last slide in my presentation, which is also one of the important inputs here, which is the simplified procurement plan. One of the required tables here is we need to know tentatively the dates for these for the implementation of these procurement packages. Of course, I should highlight here that the logic for the activities of the implementation or the implementation plan of your project is very important to be in line with these expected dates for advertisement, and expected date for starting the contract, and expected date for ending the contract. So the first columns are well known. So project component, package number, just a serial number in order to identify how many packages you have. And then the contract package is type and description. So the description is known, like the trainer or the senior instructor, and the type is like consulting individual consultants or single source selection. And then the budget allocated, total budget allocated, and IDB allocation. And then the selection method here, we already identified the selection method on the boxes on the past slide. And then the expected date of advertisement. Let me just take 2 extra minutes here on identifying what is the what are these terms mean. So expected date of advertisement is the expected date that you are going to announce. Imagine that you need to procure something. Let's say procure purchase equipment, which is relevant to the project under IDB financing. This component. So the first activity, of course, you are going to prepare the specifications, prepare the request for quotation as a draft. But the day you are going to announce, or you are going to communicate with the suppliers to provide you with the quotation, price quotations or the proposals, this is the expected date of advertisement here. So you should identify this date, taking into consideration also the expected the procurement process inside your CSOs. So by experience, for example, if you are going to purchase an equipment with a simple shopping method, if we already advertised or we already communicated with the suppliers, let's say 1st of January, so we will give them like 14 or 1 month to provide us with their price quotation, or maybe 1 week or maybe 2, whatever relevant period. And then we receive the quotation. We start to open the quotations and then compare between the technical specification, how they are responsive to us, and then we select the least cost, the lowest price. We, of course, I could also mention here that you need to review the breakdown for the cost, make sure that there is no arithmetic correction that should take place on the proposal, and then going further to inform the winner and inform the loser that we already are going to select this supplier to supply to us this equipment. So the expected date, and then starting or preparing the contract draft that should be signed between you and the supplier. So the date of the starting date, or the expected contract start date, is the first date of activating this contract. And of course, between the expected starting date and the expected end date, this is the duration where the supplier will supply his his equipment or his or the machines required or whatever. So it takes like 3 months, sometimes it takes 6 months. This is relevant to the availability of this equipment and also the availability of the equipment on the market and as a first layer, or maybe on the storage area of this supplier, and all this should be also taken into consideration during the evaluation. I think now I came to the end of the presentation. Thank you all for listening. I think we'll go for the question and answer session at the end of this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you, brother. Yes.
Thank you, Taha, for the detailed presentation. And here I would like to mention that we will share with you after this webinar the presentation that Taha provided with the record, as well as I can see that there is lots of question in the Q&A. I would like to remind you that after the presentation, we have 2 more presentations. After the presentation, we will open the floor to answer all of your questions. And some questions are similar, so we will take all of them. You will be able to participate, raising your question verbally, or you can write your questions. So without call upon, now we are going to listen to our brother Wasim Abdul Wahab. Wasim is the lead project financial management specialist with IDB, and Wasim will give us an insightful talk based on his experience. He was supporting us for the first call for a proposal, so there is, I'm sure, lots of lesson learned and advices will come up through him. So Wasim, if you may take the floor, please.
Thank you, Yas. Let me just share my screen. And Assalamu alaikum to all the participants. Yeah, hold on. Sorry. Right. Okay. So I'm going to present to you today the project financial management aspects of the Islamic Development Bank. What is financial management? Basically, it's a process of planning and controlling the financial resources. So all of you, either in the NGOs or in the CSOs, you all deal with money, and you have to plan and control that money to achieve the optimum economic and financial benefits. So that's basically what we're talking about here. What are the elements we look at? Basically, 6 areas are involved in financial management, project financial management, budgeting and planning. You have accounting, you have internal controls, how you manage the funds and how you keep record of the funds. Then we have funds flow, basically how from the Islamic Development Bank to reaching the ultimate beneficiary, how the funds are flowing. So you need to keep a track of that so that you have a free flow of funds at all times. Then, of course, financial reporting is there is one of the important requirements. You need to keep a track of what have you done, how much you spent, what you spent on. So all these things are, a normal part of any organization. One other part which sometimes NGOs and CSO do or don't have, depend on the size and depend on the laws in the country, is the auditing aspect. So some NGOs are by law they're audited regularly, and that's good. Otherwise, we of course require auditing for the funds that we have spent. Now, why we have all this? Why do all this? So basically, number one, it provides you the assurance, it provides the donors the assurance that the fund has been used for the intended purposes. Secondly, it provides information to the management, which is you, to how to manage the project and monitor the progress of the project. And 3, it helps the governance and helps deter fraud. So any good financial management system will deter any misuse of the funds. And where is this coming from? Basically, we have the Articles of Agreement of the Islamic Development Bank, which is like any Articles of Association of any company or any NGO or any CSO. In our articles, in Article 12, it says that the resources and facilities of the bank must be used exclusively to implement its purpose and functions on the basis of sound economic principles. And Article 16 more or less says the same thing, that the money should be used strictly for the purpose for which it was intended. So it's in our Articles of Agreement. 2 articles are there concerning the proper and correct use of funds in order to achieve the project objectives and hence have the impact on the ground. And that's what we want, that's what you want, and so that's in everybody's interest to have the money used properly. Now, in the project management function in the bank, we have a fiduciary role. Basically, we ensure that the integrity of all the bank's financing transactions are done properly, and we support basically also the role of financial management capacity building in our member countries also. So both these areas we look at in the bank, in our division. Of course, the chance of something going wrong will have an impact on the project objectives. What we're looking at now is basically the, go back. The objectives of the bank finance systems. We have to look at whether the entities are implementing the acceptable financial management systems. Entities meaning the CSOs or NGOs, or our projects or our governments. Basically, we finance governments, but we also finance social projects, which is CSOs and NGOs. We have to address fraud and corruption at the project level. Then, of course, the primary responsibility for preventing fraud and corruption rests with you, basically. You are the implementing agency, and you will be required to have systems in place whereby any fraud or any corruption is controlled. We are there to provide help with you, and any time the beneficiary needs monitoring, we can help in that area. There's a thing called financial management assessment. We usually carry this out for big projects, not the CSOs or the NGOs type organizations, but these are for big projects. Basically, we look at the executive agency, we look at the funds flow arrangements, we look at the staffing, accounting policies and procedures. Segregation of duties is very important. Somebody who's approving the budget, or he should not be going out and buying the items, and a third person should be receiving the items based on a system. So they have to be having segregation of duties. We look at the budget systems, financial reporting systems, information systems, external and internal audit functions. So some of these may be applicable to you, but mostly we use them for the big projects that we have. Now, what we've done is, instead of the formal process which I showed you just now, for grants, we have developed a simplified fiduciary due diligence process. And basically, this is based on amount of financing, the complexity of the project, the purpose of the grant, the source of the grant funding, whether it's coming from the Islamic Development Bank or it's coming from outside, some other donor is giving it to us for distributing onwards. The executing implementing agency's status means how big is it. We do also have grants for organizations such as ICRC, the International Committee for the Red Cross. So we give them grants, and which is a huge organization present in like 100 countries. And we also give grants to CSOs and NGOs like you. So we have to see the status, we have to see the size of the agency which is implementing, and based on that, then we have the appropriate fit for purpose the financial management practices or requirements. We also look at the capacity, of course, of the executive agency as well. So basically, it's a simplified, fit for purpose process and takes into account the flexibility required as well as the cost effectiveness. So it should not be too expensive for you. We can't ask you to put $100,000 out of our total 200,000 to have audit purpose, auditing and other systems. So it has to be cost effective. It has to be having different principles for different sizes and different types of interventions. Basically, some of these provisions we apply, not all are applicable to you also, but again to big corporations or big projects. As far as possible, we should be having somebody in the CSO or NGO to have the accounting done. Basically, somebody who's managing the money and recording everything. So this is very important right now. Sorry. We also have to ensure that the accounts of the project and the accounts of the CSO are not mixed, because we need to have later on some kind of a verification of expenditure. So try not to mix all these accounts. So at the end of the day, you don't know what's happening and where the project money has gone and where the salaries of the normal staff have gone. And so you need to be keeping a kind of a wall in between the project and your CSO accounts. You also need to retain and keep in safe custody all the records, contracts, invoices, whatever you bought, the bills, receipts, everything has to be kept. We may need it to be audited later. So we need to keep it as long as possible. We prefer 10 years, but it's in the case of the CSOs, it can be negotiated. The project accounts, once the project is complete, it should be closed, and there should be a satisfactory report saying that the project has been completed, and here are the proofs. Of course, the internal audit aspect is not applicable to you. What also happens in the certain cases is that a CSO is being financed by many financiers, many donors. So it becomes critical to have whatever you have bought from our money or from the Tadamon funding, you need to label it as such. It should preferably have some sort of name and logo of the donor, so that we find out when we're later on auditing or the auditor is coming in and looking at the things. So we should at least know that these items have been bought from the banks or the Tadamon's money. These items have been bought from World Bank funding, for example. These items have been bought from the donor, Asian Development Bank or whatever. So you need to separate these things and have them labeled appropriately. So I'll just show you some examples. This is a project actually. This is in Bangladesh. We had a water pumping station for a water and sewage project. So as you can see, this shows the Islamic Development Bank logo. It shows the logo of the agency which is involved. It shows the municipality logo. So just to see, that this project has been done by the bank and the agency. So it's good for accounting and auditing purposes later on. We had a project in Canada, in Markham, Ontario. This project was, we had a school and we replaced the roof of this Islamic school. So they have put up this plaque to show that this has been done by the bank, and this is a requirement, and we will put this in the financing agreement sometime as well. This is a car which has been bought from the bank's funding for a big project. So it was, I think, a $200 million project. So this car was bought, and then it was used by the project management unit. So we have the sticker of the bank on it also. So these things, things like these, basically. Basically, this is the last slide. When we are completing the project, we need to have appropriate accounting standards utilized. We need to have reports from you regularly. We can agree on whatever period is required for the reporting. Then you have to have some kind of an auditing arrangement. If you're already being audited regularly, then of course we can use your auditor. Otherwise, we can provide some funding for the recruitment of an auditor, which you will do according to your procedures, because the Taha was just describing the bank's procedures. They are quite lengthy, and as per the agreement with the management, I showed you the document which we have prepared. So under that document, we can use your procedures as long as they're clear and they're transparent. We can use your procedures for hiring of the auditor also. So if the amount of financing is small, of course. And at the end, we need to prepare a complete completion report. We can have proofs. It has to have proofs and some kind of verification of the project components having been completed. So photographs, videos, some verification from the local municipality, or local government officials, or somebody in the government, whatever. So some kind of a verification is required, and we need proof also of whatever you have promised to do. You have done that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Wasim, for this insightful. And for all CSOs, that what Wasim gave us was based on the ISDB guideline, also based on his experience on reviewing a proposal. And now we are going to the last proposal, will be done from our regional disbursement specialist, Brother Abdul Hadi. Take the floor, please, and tell us more about the disbursement procedure and about your insights from ISDB background.
Thank you very much, Brother Ilyas, and good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Is it in a full?
No, it's not on full, so you need to put it in slideshow.
Okay. Basically, my name is Abdullah Mohamedou. I'm from the financial department, and my presentation will be regarding the disbursement. So basically, how can you make a claim to disperse, to make the payment for your project? These will be the guideline for the bank in general. I'll try to highlight any specific item regarding the grants in general.
Sorry, can you put it in presentation mode, Abdullah?
It's not in?
No, it's not in presentation mode.
No, still it's not on the presentation mode.
Because on my screen it shows it is, but let's see.
I think you can stop sharing and get back sharing your screen. It happens sometimes.
Is it working now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. So basically, we'll go through some tools. We'll try to give you hints on how to do the best disbursement claim according to ISDB policy and guidelines. We have a handbook that you can find on our website online. It's talking in general about ISDB disbursement procedure. So it's available to give you a good view of all the disbursement items related to you as a beneficiary. You are a special case because your application will go to an intermediary, usually the project team, to be submitted through our online platform. We have an online platform that's make the disbursement go a lot faster than the usual paper format and mailing. So, and it gives a good view on time on the status of the disbursement. We'll go through the modality of disbursement, how we disperse, how ISDB disperse, what are the modality that ISDB can disperse the money to any project. And we'll have an example of the process, the payment process for one fund payment. So this is the disbursement handbook, and as I said, it's tackle. It gives a summary of the disbursement policy and guideline. It's a very good instrument to familiarize yourself with the ISDB disbursement process, to accelerate, help you know how and when to ask for money and get it quickly. There are some items that's first, before you make any disbursement claim, you need to make sure that all the preconditions for your disbursement are met. This is not necessarily one of yours, but anything in your agreement that's said that you need to be done before disbursement or before effectiveness of the contract, you need to comply with it before you do disbursement. So that will allow you to avoid any delay in the disbursement. If you send your disbursement request and it's missing one or items or is not complying with one term of condition, that will delay your disbursement request. Our platform that I talked to briefly earlier, it's give whoever has access to it a lot of information. It allows the online submission of the disbursement request, and therefore a quick process of the disbursement request. It allows also, it give a view on the status of that disbursement, and it give access to a hub of information that's the beneficiary can have, from which the beneficiary can have access to some reports. Now, how do we disperse? We have four types of disbursement type, which means there are four ways that IDB can pay you for an expense. First is a reimbursement, which means you go, and all of this has to be agreed in advance, of course. Either you go and you do the expense, you pay for it, then you submit the proof that you did pay for it and you ask for reimbursement, which means you have a contractor, he give you the service or the work contracted for, and you pay them, you bring the invoice and all of the proof of payment to IDB for reimbursement. Second type is direct payment. You said, okay, I have a contract with this contractor to build office to provide a service, to provide a work, a consultant that helped me on this project, but I want you to pay them directly. So they will submit their invoice and to you and through you to the project team with the necessary supporting document, and then they will be paid directly. A third method, which doesn't apply to you necessarily, is a special account. This is for a lot of, when we have a lot of small payment. So we will have the executing agency go for, as an agent for us to pay for this disbursement, and we'll advance fund to them. And the fourth also does not apply necessarily to you, is a reimbursement guarantee, where we guarantee a payment if you are going to import goods or service from overseas. We can guarantee the payment to the supplier of that service or work, that if they do deliver the goods or service to you, we will guarantee them they will be paid through us or through the issuing bank. So these are the four types of disbursements that we do. How the process goes is usually you as a beneficiary or your contractor, if you're going to be paid directly, will submit the invoice to the project management. In this case, is the project management unit. That unit will submit the supporting document along with the disbursement request to the bank. The bank will request our agent bank to go ahead and do the process the payment. The agent bank and we'll send you advice through the EDP, the electronic disbursement platform, and the PMU can send you the same advice to let you know that ISDB did process your payment. What happened behind the scene is that our bank, our correspondent bank, will send to their house bank to execute the payment. For example, we'll send to GIB. GIB will send it to Standard Chartered Bank. Let's say in this example, I'll take an example in Bangladesh. And then that bank will send to the local bank to execute payment to you as a beneficiary. And then the local bank will notify you that you have a credit in your account for the amount of the disbursement request. This in a nutshell, the disbursement modalities. Again, make sure that any condition, precondition in your contract is met. Make sure that you support, you provide any supporting document to your request. You can be paid either directly or your supplier directly, depending on the contract. Once you do the submission, it will go through electronic platform and it will be processed, and the PMU will be advised once the payment is done. Otherwise, we'll come back to you if there is anything missing. Once the payment is done, a notification will be sent electronically to the PMU, which will advise you accordingly. Thank you very much. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Abdullahi, and thank you, Wasim, and thank you, Taha, for great insightful. So now I think we will open the door for questions. And to manage the crowd, we have a huge number of people who would like to ask questions. I would like to ask you to raise your hand, and we will give you the permission to ask your question. And also here, I would like to remind you that to start with your name, and then directly, what is the question directly in English? So we can gather every 2-3 questions we will be answering. And I'm sure that there will be questions similar to others. So keep listening to other questions while your colleague or someone from other organization might ask. So if we may give the chance for Vagine Shwekat to ask a question.
Yes, I think there are questions related to budget, cover admin cost, and
We
also
will come
staff
in the
salaries.
Q&A. Yes,
Yeah,
we will come to them.
But what I'm saying is, we will, before we give them the floor, we'll have to give a chance from the procurement team, such as Taha, to answer this question because they already posted this almost now, quite a few minutes ago. So there is a question which is related to the project budget, cover admin costs and staff salaries.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
Taha,
So-
if you may give us the answer, you can see them on the Q&A about, as Ismail mentioned, about the admin cost, the ratio, and also about Ismail, we will get back to you. Also, there were questions as well about the match funding, and then we will give the chance for other who did not answer the question. So, Taha, if you may.
Okay, thank you, brother. Yes, for the percentage, I think you can address it better than me, what is the percentage is required or allowed. But the idea is that we have also to differentiate between the operational admin cost of the CSO in implementing the project and the cost for procurement. So cost for procurement, we had identified for the external parties like contractor, supplier, even individual consultants. So within the allowed percentage for the operational cost, it will be fine. But all the procurement activities or the cost incorporated with the procurement should be as per the budget plan, and it's for the purpose of implementing the project itself. So it doesn't make sense if you are requesting us or requesting IDB to finance the salaries of the employees or of your staff, or even the operational cost, transportation from here to there for your employees to do some activities, even if it is related to the project. You can insert it as in-kind contribution from your side. And I think over to you, brother, yes, to identify the exact, or brother Ismail, to identify the exact percentage allowed for operational cost. Thank you.
You're welcome, Taha. So it is 15% of the total budget. So let's say if an organization apply for 100,000 grants, the operational cost should not exceed 15% of the total budget, which mean 15,000 out of 100,000. And we need to make it clear, as Taha mentioned, what we consider as an operational cost and what we consider as not operational cost. And we tried as much as we can to make this clear throughout today, also on the form of the proposal. So please read it carefully before preparing your budget. Ismail, there were questions to clarify about the percentage or the co-financing ratio. So if you may give us in a nutshell how what does it mean 1-to-1, and what criteria do we have on this regard?
Yes, thanks, Iyas. In fact, the criteria is 1-to-1. However, they can provide, let's say, at least to start with 50% of that figure. So, say for example, in this case, 120,000, they can come up with a figure to start with of 60,000, which is 50%. Not necessarily 1-to-1, which is exactly 120,000. So the baseline for this begins 50% and then onward. But I would also like to clarify one point, which is, of course, this is a generous envelope compared to other organizations or other donors. So in that regard, we also welcome the in-kind contribution. But in-kind contribution, for example, include a construction company that might donate materials and labor to build a new school that you want to build in your member country. So we want the evidence of that organization who is stepping in to give you the in-kind donation, whatever documents or agreements or demonstration of the in-kind contribution that they actually are determined to help you. It's not like words where you say, okay, in-kind contribution of like, I will give you an example of like somebody working in the organization as a volunteer. Yes, you can come up with that, but it's really to quantify. It's really difficult for us to quantify that. So in-kind contribution of something that's so tangible. It could also be an accountant that would reduce the overall cost of the project. And you can say an accountant will donate accounting surveys to my organization. And in that case, I would save like, say, for example, $1,500 or $2,000 out of the overall budget. So in-kind contribution, not words, but with evidence, and also co-finance from other donors that you make an effort. Over to you.
Thank you, Ismail. So now we will give the chance for people who raise their hand. So we'll start with Vajin Shwekat. So, and also Muhammad, while Muhammad is here. So Muhammad, may you ask your question, please? You are muted, Muhammad. You need to unmute yourself and ask your question. Muhammad, do you hear us? Muhammad Abdul Wadud? Muhammad, do you hear us? So can we move Heidi, if you may? Muhammad, I think he's facing difficulty. So can we move for, yes, Shwekat, please ask your question.
Hello, dears. How are you? My name is Vajin Shaukat. I am from Kurdistan region of Iraq. I'm joining from Better World organization. I had a couple of questions related, first of all, to the capacity strengthening portal. Our friends here in the organization, they have actually done the trainings, but my question is, what is required in the application? Are we supposed to send them, send in the application the certificates, or how exactly what is required? Because the friends have done the trainings, and I just want to know what we should submit in the application. And my other question was related to the no objection letter. You mentioned something like that from ISDP. I personally don't know how the process for that actually works. So if you could clarify that a little more, because we do not really have something like this, and we want to know how is the process for doing this. Thank you so much. This is all from my side.
So for the second question about the no objection letter, we call it no objection or recommendation letter. Basically, this is a letter we ask the shortlisted CSOs to bring from ISDB Governor Office. And in your case, the ISDB Governor Office is the Central Bank of Iraq. So what you need, let's say if your organization submit a proposal and you got shortlisted, we will contact you and ask you to bring a letter. It says basically that the government has no objection for the proposal, the title of the proposal, and the area of intervention, and it need to be submitted to us. So this is a request or requirement for the shortlisted CSOs. In regard to the question about Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Hub, basically, as your colleague attended, that's mean your organization got the badge. So if you got the badge, we will have you in our database, as well as you can submit the badge screenshot, or you can submit the certificate that they got with your proposal. So we make sure that you got registered on Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Hub. If we may now move for Russia.
مرحبا جميعا. أنا اسمي تمام قرعان وزميلتي رشا معاي. My colleague Rasha is with me. We're both from the Center for Continuing Education from Birzeit University. We noticed that someone else had also asked if universities can apply. You said no, it's strictly CSOs, but Birzeit University is registered as an NGO. So we just wanted to make sure if we are eligible or not.
Okay. Thank you for the direct question. So if you are registered as a CSOs with the government of Palestine and you have your registration and the
Yes.
government give you the no objection letter and after being shortlisted, that's okay for us. And please keep in your mind that the project you are submitting should be within the area of intervention that we listed on the call for proposal.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Iyas. One more question. We wanted to see, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Apologies. I think that's it, right?
No, just to make sure, we have asked before about the number of CSOs or CBOs, and the number or the answer was they should be logic. So it's not really clear for us. So is there like a minimum or maximum, like is it between 6 and 12, or how can we, what's the range of
The number of what exactly, please?
what?
The number of what you mean to apply as a consortium, or the number of partner within the program? What do you mean by that?
In our, like, so we're gonna obviously apply, but let's say if we want to do a consortium, a group of other CSOs to work with us so that we can cover all the territories of Palestine, not just in Ramallah where we are.
Yeah, that would be okay.
Okay, is there a certain level that is too much? Like, should we keep it less than 6?
No, there is no specific number. And Ismail, please, if you may add to this, there is no specific number for the consortium or the partner that you are going to partner with. But what we want to make clear that one proposal should be, let's say, 10 or 15 or 9 CSOs would like to partner. You would like to partner with them. All
see.
the information should be clear on your proposal, all on this and their role.
Absolutely,
and
yes.
From them, and if there is any co-sharing budget, should be reflected to the budget. But there is no specific number. What we meant by logic, that a grant of up to 120,000 will not have like 100 CSOs to apply. This is what
very true. Okay, and sorry, last question, also very direct. If we write our project and we have an idea, or we would like to give grants from the fund, is that acceptable? Sorry, is it like a...
What do you mean giving grant? Could you clarify your question?
Yes, like, can we give sub-grants within activities, right? So let's say we're working with a business or an entrepreneur, and that entrepreneur needs a certain machine. Can we give that entrepreneur a sub-grant as a part of the activity?
Ismail, would you like this question?
No, it's one grant, one project, one organization. This is what it is. Yeah.
Sorry, Ismail, sorry. Question is, if they got grant, that grant used to give grant to the community, to the beneficiaries?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, as part of the, let's say, activity.
Let's say they have a training program, and the winner of that training program can get small sub-grants. That's a question.
Hajdana, yes, exactly. Thank you. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name right.
Well, in this case, does it mean like they are procuring one activity and allocate one portion of the grant that they have taken from ISDB to facilitate that activity and subcontract this to an organization? Is it subcontracting?
No, not subcontracting, no. Let's say one of our activities is, as Hajan was saying, we do a capacity building program, and at the end of it, we have a startup and they have a brilliant idea, but they need a sub-grant.
Oh yes, that's fine then. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Yes, that's
super.
Thank you, Rasha. So now we give the chance, I think, for Yahya Saleh to ask his question.
Yes, hello.
Yes, Yahya, go ahead.
I need to ask you how much the percentage of my organization to share in this project.
What you mean about the co-financing?
Yes.
Ismail already answered this, but if you may, Ismail, repeat this, the co-financing.
What is it like the same question that I answered earlier?
Yes, about the co-financing. What is the percentage of the co-financing?
Well, it says on the criteria 1-to-1. However, we facilitate in the manner that if they can come up with 50% of that, it's acceptable. So 50% and above.
Okay, thank you, Ismail, and thank you, Yahya. So may now we give the chance for Bitra.
Hello.
Yes, Bitra, please go ahead.
Just a quick question regarding the badge. So it's as mentioned that we must attend some of the courses, correct? But because we have we took the courses from a different account, are we supposed to register on Kaya using the same account of the organization, or we can attend on an account of one of our employees?
Yes, let me just clarify that. In fact, you know, you cannot in fact register as an organization because the platform accepts a user. So what you can do is someone working with your organization as a rep from the management or anyone within the organization can register on your behalf, and then they take the courses. And you, as long as he acquires the digital badge, that's fine. And then keep in mind, there is no limit. You can have like 3,
as much
4,
as we want.
5. Yes, as much as you want.
Okay,
and then later demonstrate. And this will benefit you. This will definitely benefit you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. So Wasim, you would like
to
say?
One point I had regarding this point okay, so for the registration is okay, but supposing you do win the grant, the funding has to go into an organization's account. It cannot go into an individual's account.
Yes.
So that's very important to note that we will not fund an individual. If you send the account of an individual, it will not be funded.
Okay. Thank you, Wasim, for raising this important point. As Wasim mentioned, we only receive proposal from organization, not individual, and we only deal. If you got the chance and you win the grants, we only deal with organization, official account, and more information will follow later on that. But thank you, Wasim, for raising this point. So we may take Ahmed now. Ahmed, if you may.
You can hear me? Hello?
Yes.
I have one question. Will there be an advance payment for CSO to start spending on the projects, or it will be a reimbursement?
So I think it's the best from the disbursement team.
Yes, exactly. Abdullahi.
And then we close it down. As per the agreements, I think there's like 20% of like the first.
Abdullah.
Abdullah.
Abdullahi, if you may.
Or Wasim or anybody.
Or Wasim, or we can answer this question, whatever you prefer.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Yes, go. You go, Abdullahi. About the advance, there is a question if there will be an advance payment for the selected CSOs.
In the ISDB, the advance usually is through a special account, which it's feasible, but depending on the project, depending on how do we assess that project needs and how it will be financed. It's one of the possibilities, but there are some criteria that need to be met for an advance to be a part of the disbursement modalities.
Thank you, Abdullah. And I will add to what you mentioned that for the previous grant, we have agreed to give 20% as an advance at the beginning. And for it will be for the first grant, for instance, it will be 3 installments. and it will be 20, 70, and 10. And there will be, for the shortlisted or for the selected CSOs, there will be a clear roadmap when and how we are going to disperse this money. So we will take 2 more questions.
Yes, I think we don't have to. It's enough. We've answered all the questions, and this exceeds the time. So, and we should just close it down, because 2:30 was the time that we allocated for this.
Yeah, if we give a few minutes only, Ismail, for CSOs, and then we close it. I
Okay,
think
no problem.
only Nida for now raising the hand. So Nida, your question directly, please.
Hello.
Yes, Nida, I hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Should the partner be financially involved or only participate in implementation?
Again?
Should the partner be financially involved in the proposal or only participate in implementation?
Unfortunately, I can't understand your question.
Brother, yes,
Yes, yes.
If you allow me,
Yes.
the question is already written on the Q&A. So it's should the partner be financially involved or only participate in implementation? Yeah.
Both. So if they involve financially and we consider it as co-financing, this is an option. And you can also, if you have another source of co-financing and you want to partner for other organization for the implementation, that would be okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So may I ask the speaker to open their cameras just to take a picture for our internal communication, and to thank all of them for their contribution today. So Ben or Heidi, please let us know when you are going so we can smile.
If we can have Taha open his camera as well.
Sorry, brother, I'm working from home, so
Okay.
No worries. Yeah, exemption. Yeah.
Yeah, please
Sorry for that.
smile, everybody.
I'm already smiling in the photo.
So without taking further from your time, I would like just to remind you all, we will share with you the presentation as well as the recording by email. And the deadline for the grant is 5th of January, 12 p.m. Jeddah time. Any organization submit in different languages rather than the English will not be considered. Any organization do not pass the criteria at the screening stage, they will not be considered. And please, if you would like to communicate with us, use Tadamon Grant email, and it's already on the call. And we wish you, on behalf of the Islamic Solidarity Fund for Development and Islamic Development Bank, we wish you best of luck. This is the beginning of our cooperation. Not being selected doesn't mean you are not a CSOs. There might be more priority for other area of intervention. We are here to support you. Our role is to make it easy for you. And you need to keep in your mind that this is an MDB, a big institution. So we have several committees to review your proposal, and the aim is to get the best of your project, the best of your ideas. And our role, again, as I mentioned, both Islamic Development Bank and our strategic partner, UNDP, is to support you. Tadamon is not only a grant, there is other chance, and there will be another chance for applying for a grant, and there will be another chance for capacity building. And wish you best of luck. And I would like to thank all of our colleague partners who support this event today. Thank you for your already great work you have done. And we are looking forward also for your support for the future call, inshallah. Shukran jazilan, everyone.
Thank you, yes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.